Hi, welcome back to Movie Review Mom. I'm so glad you're here. Thank you for subscribing and visiting this little YouTube channel. Anyway, the movie I'm reviewing today is Godzilla. Godzilla, the king of the monsters. This movie is rated PG-13. It is 2 hours, 12 minutes, and the grade that I gave it is an A-. I've been reading a ton of reviews of people who just are ripping this movie to shreds, and it's not what they thought it was going to be. It's not what they wanted it to be, but I enjoyed it. I thought it was well done. Yes, it has flaws, but if you want to see monsters fighting each other, then that's what this movie is all about, and it did a great job at that. In a quick nutshell, this is actually the sequel to the 2014 Godzilla movie, and it even has reference to the 2017 Kong Skull Island. In fact, a standoff featuring Godzilla and King Kong is currently underway and will be released in 2020. So that should be awesome. I don't know who you're going to root for, but there you have it. And I'm not sure if all these three movies are enough to call it a monster cinematic universe, but this movie introduces quite a few monsters. So if they plan on, giving us lots of movies about all these various monsters, and yeah, sure, bring on the universe. It kind of feels like the creators just created a bunch of fight sequences and then built a plot around it. And that's the biggest complaint that I'm hearing from not only critics, but also fans. Whatever. I know I always try to look for a really great plot and character arcs and motivation and all that kind of stuff, but it's Godzilla. So if you want to watch Godzilla fight and have lots of action, then you're going to be satisfied. First, some quick tips for parents. There's some profanity. Most of it is by this teenage girl. There are 2 F-bombs, an obscene hand gesture, and some just other kind of mild profanity. It's PG-13. There's some talk of monsters mating. Luckily, we don't have to see any of that. There's some violence, in fact, lots of violence, and that's mostly monster on monster fighting or humans shooting guns and things at these monsters trying to kill them. There's a pretty high body count, but it's all bloodless, really. I mean, things will explode, and so people die, that kind of thing. If you liked the last Godzilla, this is similar, although some people say they liked the last Godzilla better. But the big complaint about that Godzilla movie is that you didn't get to see Godzilla very long. I think he was on the screen for 12 minutes. There are lots of scenes with lots of monsters fighting. So if that's what you wanted, then you will be really happy about this one. And then also another tip for parents is there's talk of a son who died in the last movie, and the parents and the sibling who are struggling with that loss. There's also an interesting parent-child dynamic, or I should say 2 parents versus the 1-child dynamic, which is kind of an interesting aspect of the movie. Some other themes of the movie are good versus evil. A character talks specifically about difficult trials and how we need to get through them. There are people doing bad things with good intentions, and then people with good intentions doing bad things. That was kind of a fun and interesting twist, I thought, to just, bad people and good people. And there are some of those very shallow type of characters, but there's a villain who is trying to do something good, but just kind of gets lost along the way. And so I liked that little deeper dimension to that. Obviously, the theme of strength, power, redemption, the value of humanity, and certainly environmentalism and coexistence. Can humans coexist with these creatures, these titans? So the things that I really liked about this are the monster sequences. They're just stunning. They look amazing. And like I said, you get to see a lot of these titans and creatures. And there's a lot of screen time given to them. So that's really great. The cast includes Kyle Chandler, Vera Farmiga, and I've always really liked her. He always kind of annoys me. Half the movie he's whispering, like he's trying to say something really profound, and he's kind of an overactor. And he has the answer to every question, and he knows how to do everything. And for some reason, everybody gives him all of this authority. Whatever. Millie Bobby Brown plays the teenager. She's from Stranger Things. And I feel badly saying this, but her character just kind of annoyed me because she kind of flipped-flopped back and forth from parent to parent. And that's actually true for a teenage girl. Whatever. But anyway, then Ken Watanabe, loved him. You probably first noticed him in Inception, the movie that. Gigi Chang from Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. And it's interesting as we see a lot of these movies, particularly Godzilla, that there's definitely a relationship going on in the film industry with China. So I don't mind having Chinese characters. And even Ken Watanabe is Japanese. And of course, Godzilla originated in Japan. So it's nice to have sort of some diversity in these movies rather than just have it be Hollywood or a Hollywoodized version of it. I always get a kick out of Bradley Whitford. This isn't his finest work, but he provides the comic relief, and I just am entertained by him. And those who are experiencing withdrawal pains from the Game of Thrones will love the dragon-looking monster in this movie called Ghidorah, with the 3 heads, and it kind of starts to burn up, when it's ready to shoot fire and all that kind of stuff. It's actually really well done. You get to see a lot of close-ups of monsters, and that also is actually one of the criticisms, is there are not enough wide angles scenes, during these fight scenes, almost too many close-ups that you kind of want to get the perspective of what's happening with the monsters, and that way. But I like the close-ups because then it really makes you appreciate the CGI, which again is just beautiful. Mothra was beautiful and deadly at the same time. There's actually, now that I think about it, another element of sacrifice that takes place among humans and these creatures. I don't want to give too much away though. And then I have a twin sister. I am a twin, and so I loved the twin mythology in the story. And I am certainly no Godzilla legend expert by any means. I've just seen the movies. I don't know anything else. But so I liked that aspect. I liked that there were a lot of elements that kind of teased you along to make you believe we're going to see a lot more of this, and to also have your mind go, now wait, if they said this, then maybe that could happen. And it kind of gets your brain thinking. And so I like movies that help you to imagine what the future movies might possibly be. I don't know, get people talking at least, right? And then back to Mothra, I thought that it was really cool that her eye spots on the wings were designed to actually look like Godzilla's eyes, to show that they had this symbiotic connection between these two monsters, that they were working together. And somebody makes a reference in the movie about humans and creatures and how that's not unusual to have symbiosis between creatures, right? So I liked that little element. And then stay in your seats during the end credit scene. It's a little bit weak, and I wished it would have alluded more to King Kong in the next movie that's coming out, but whatever. I just always appreciate end credit scenes. A few things that I didn't really like is, first of all, the movie takes itself way too seriously. There's some humor, but I would have loved to have had more, maybe even tongue-in-cheek type of humor, where they're just kind of winking at the audience like, we know this is silly, but they're like, very dramatic, everything is so, whatever. There's a lot of shaky cam, which I don't like. It always just makes me dizzy. Anytime they want to show heavy movements where the people are in the space, where the humans are. And another one of the biggest complaints about this movie is the people, that the people are just simply there to provide exposition, to explain everything. And there are lots and lots of scenes where people are on computers or looking at monitors or in the control tower or in the pilot or inside some type of a piece of equipment or an airplane or a helicopter, and they're looking at screens and then explaining what's happening. So a lot of the exposition kind of is what drives people nuts a lot. I don't know. I don't know. So it seemed like that the writers were just trying to get the monsters back on screen as quickly as possible without creating this really deep plot and very detailed storyline. So that's okay. It's good for a good summer popcorn movie. The bowing at the end, I don't mean to be a spoiler because I'm not giving too much away, just seems super hokey to me. And then some of the lines are super cheesy. And I don't know, maybe they're supposed to be. Maybe they're trying to get back to the origins. And I did see a few respectful nods to former Godzilla movies, which are plenty. So maybe that's part of what that was all about. I don't know. Then there's some funny lines, but I'll cut this short. I don't want to go on too long. I always include lots of the funny lines or the inspiring lines on my written movie reviews at moviereviewmom.com. So be sure and visit there. We always have fun contests going as well. And comment below. Let me know what you thought. If you just enjoyed it and you tried to dismiss some of these other elements, or if those were the elements that drove you nuts and you weren't able to appreciate it. Let me know. I love it when we get good conversations going here. Bye for now.